reality 102 is, in Western civilization's probably most prophetic poem, which was The Second Coming by W.B. Yeats, there is a suggestion that the center cannot hold when the best lack all conviction and the worst are full of passionate intensity. And it seems that citizens of all philosophical persuasions are expressing a lot of angst at society, having nothing to do with republicanism, Democrat, having a lot to do with the fast change and the acceleration of change in everybody's life, the difficult aspects of dealing with a circumstance where many people will have many, many different jobs in life, and some will have virtually none, while others might have a steady occupation. But change is discombobulating, and it produces angst and anger. And also it causes candidates to play off that, and candidates that tear down rather than uplift, or candidates that, if they prevail, and everyone that follows politics knows that all candidates say, all publics say, they don't want to have too much negativism, but negative campaign ads work. And so for a self-centered way, there's hardly a candidate in America that doesn't emphasize certain negativity at critical points in a campaign. But if you run a campaign and you win on negativity, what's going to happen if one is a victor? How does one bring the country together? And it's an art that I think doesn't well exist. In any regard, past Congresses have been quite feisty. But what is particularly confounding about the current circumstance that has hints in American history, but not to the degree we have today, is that we now have a party system in which, over the last couple of decades, increasingly, the minority party has decided it should not cooperate with the majority. And what that means is that we are Europeanizing an aspect of American politics, that is, minority parties becoming the party of opposition. And that causes lots of difficulties. I mean, when I happened to have been elected to Congress in the mid-'70s, and when I entered that body, and I was in a definitive minority status, I felt that it was everybody's assumption that they were part of a governing apparatus, and that there are times you would certainly differ with the majority party, but when the majority party had a good idea, you would support it, and you might have amendments to modify it in one fashion or another, but everybody was part of governing. And today, there's a capitulation of the minority parties to responsibility for governing, and an assumption that any success is not good for the country, because it's good for the majority party, and anybody knows what's good for the majority party is not good for the country if one is in the minority. And that is not a very logical way of thinking for the country. And I think far better it would be just for legislators to consider themselves part of society at home, and it's absolutely irrational to think that a Republican cannot find a Democratic idea or two that isn't good for the country, or that a Democrat should not find a Republican amendment or two to vote for. And we now have a situation that the majority party considers itself the exclusive party of governance. All compromises are within it, and that's either by choice or default. And the minority party is in the opposite position. And my sense is, whether we come at issues from a conservative or liberal or moderate direction, each of us has to address one very important question, and that is, if we can't respect our neighbors, how can we expect others to respect us and our way of life? Civilization requires civility. Thank you.